Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So obviously if you're here, then you're seeking information about the Hesi entrance exam. And I wanted to go ahead and create this video just to be able to help out and share my experience and hope that it can help someone else prepare for the entrance exam. So if you're not fully aware, when you're applying to nursing school, there is an entrance exam that majority of schools require you to take. And the Hesi exam basically covers your basic fundamental courses, like your prereqs, which covers your vocabulary, your grammar, mathematics, chemistry, anatomy, physiology, what else is on there? I'm just pulling up my notes. I have notes here to help me guide me through. Um, yeah, reading comp, vocabulary, grammar, critical thinking, math, biology, chemistry, A&P, and learning style, and also a personality. So for depending on the school that you're applying to, some schools require that you take each section that I just listed off, and then there are some colleges that only require you to just take a few of these. So check with your school, see which options are on the exam. Once you figure that out, I would then try to dig a little deeper and see if you can figure out how many questions from each section will be on the exam. Because with the Hesi A2 exam, you are timed. At least for me, I was timed. I was only given 4 hours to be able to cover all of these topics. And to say the least, it was a lot of pressure because it was a lot of subjects having to cram into 4 hours. So it was important for me to figure out, okay, if I have 36 problems in this section and maybe only 15 in this section, like I would always try to start with the larger ones or try to time myself as I'm practicing before the exam. So that's a very good thing. So to start off, my experience with the Hesi exam, I did have to take the exam twice. The first time, I ended up running out of time. I didn't plan accordingly. I was working on all of the smaller sections, trying to run through those, and those really didn't hold as much weight as like the bigger sections or even the English, like the more time consuming where I had to read the passages and everything. So my first advice would be to always start on the bigger sections first, the one that will require you to be focused and read and take your time through. So my second go round, I started with English and then math, and then I think I worked through my sciences and then like to grammar and the personality and critical thinking section. And I was able to successfully complete it on my second go round. Um, Let me see. So the next tip that I would give to y'all, and I have my little phone here, so if you keep seeing me look down or anything, that's what I'm basically referring to. So my next advice would be to schedule your exam at least 30 days out or more. The reason being is because you want to give yourself adequate amount of time to study the material. This is not an exam where you need to that you can cram and like kind of study, because they're pulling from a large bank of questions and you don't know what to expect. I would say that one thing, there are some very simple questions on there, but not all the time. Like this is material that you need to know. So definitely get in a habit of studying, get familiar with the material, because depending on when you took the prereq, you may not even remember some of the stuff. So definitely give yourself that time to be able to practice and everything. Let's see, the next advice that I would give you is, I think I mentioned it already, but yeah, get your English sections done first, because when you're sitting there, and this is what I did the first time, like I ran through it, all of the easy stuff when my brain was like eager and fired up to work. And then when it came down to like the 3 hours or so, at that point I was like burnt out. And so I wasn't focusing and concentrating on reading all of the questions right. So I was like skimming through and I was missing some points with like very easy questions. And I think like once you submit the question, you can't go back. So it's like you want to be very careful making sure that you're reading your problems, because they do kind of throw some trick questions in there to where it flips it up, switch it up to make sure that you're actually reading. What will be my next advice would be, I think I mentioned this one already too, is to break the section down with timing when you're studying. Time yourself, because it's going to play a very key factor when you're taking the exam. I'm not sure if every testing exam time you, but I know for me at least I was timed, so that helped me out with trying to like work through the problems with everything. The next tip that I would give is to study a lot, but don't stress yourself out. And I know it sounds so cliche or so simple to say, but really, like, I remember literally, like, I was stressing every day. I was like dreading to take the exam. I didn't want to, but I knew I had to do it. So I made it much worse than what it needed to be. And looking back now, I wish I would have really just listened to when people said, like, don't stress it. It's an important exam, but it's not major, because sometimes we can allow our emotions get the best of us and it distract us from our focus of paying attention. And so if you can really just like try to calm your nerves by any means necessary, look at it like, hey, long as I get prepared, I'll be all right. Don't rush into anything. The anticipation of taking the exam by itself can cause you to have some anxiety, but from personal experience, it's not bad at all. Like, even from other people's responses and stuff, like they say once they get in there and they be like, oh, but just know the material. That's the whole purpose of studying more than 30 days, or studying for 30 days or more before taking the exam, so that you're not overwhelmed. Also, the night before that you take the exam, get plenty of rest. Do not go into that exam tired, groggy, sleepy, or anything, because that's going to make things way worse. And once you do, try to get up in the morning, have a nice breakfast. Oh, that's another thing. Try to take the exam in the morning. I mean, it depends on you. Me, I know, like, as soon as I'm waking up first thing in the morning, like, that's when my brain is active. I'm ready to engage in whatever it is that's being thrown at me, and I'm good to go from there. If you kind of try to take it like later on in the day, I think like they had a schedule for like 1 or 2. Yeah, by that time I'd be like, I'm tired, don't want to, no. So if you can, depending on you, take it first thing in the morning. That way you get up, have a good healthy breakfast and full, because you don't want to go in there on an empty stomach, because you're sitting and trying to focus. My next tip would be to okay, so this is one suggestion that I would throw out there, is some people say like don't study the night before an exam. Me, I still studied. Like, it didn't make me that worse off. If anything, I look at it from my own personal experience that studying the night before is just giving you that extra practice still. One thing I would say is just don't stay up all night studying, but you as a person, you should know, like, hey, either I need to like kind of give my brain a rest, give it like a break before I go into this big major day the next day, or study. But that's at your own discretion. For the math section on the exam, I would highly encourage that you memorize the conversions, the conversion table, and then as soon as you get into the exam, because they give you like a scrap piece of paper to write down, write the conversions down on the paper. That way, once you get to that section, you have everything right there, like, so you can quickly work through your math problems without having to sit there and think like, oh, this is switched over to this. It makes stuff run much smoother. I know for me, I went straight in and I wrote all my conversions down, and that way I was just able to, oh, here it is. Let me work this problem out and go ahead and do it real quick. That eliminated a lot of my time. And be careful, please, with the math, because some stuff it can trick you up. Like, just take your time, make sure that you double checking your work. Um, Double check your work. That's what I definitely say. And use the calculator. Like, some people may think that, oh, like, that's simple. Like, you just subtract or you go ahead and add. Just use the calculator just to even make sure, because sometimes with our brains being in overload, might work too fast and you might skip over something simple. So use the calculator. Also, if you get confused with solving fractions, just change them to a decimal and then solve the problem and then convert it back to a fraction. I know for me, I had to do that because sometimes working through fractions confused me, and I be like, oh, I just, yeah. So if that may be a simple trick for you, flip it to a decimal and then solve it and then flip it back to a fraction. So moving on, the material that I use to study, I use the app called Pocket Prep. I don't have it on my phone to show you, but at the time that I had it downloaded on my phone, it was like a purple icon with a P in the middle of it. And with this application, it's basically an app that have a large bank. I think it was like over 1,500 questions broken down into each section, like the anatomy, physiology, the chemistry, use all of that. And you get to test your skills every day. You can create your own exams. You can create how many problems you want to work through. You can time yourself. You can, it's just it's worth it. I think it costs a few dollars. It's worth it. Get it. That's my main thing that I really use to study for the exam. Alongside of that one, I also have purchased this book. I downloaded the electronic copy. I'm not sure if it's showing up okay. I downloaded the electronic copy, and I also had the paper book as well. This was very helpful. A lot of people suggest that it's not in depth for the anatomy and physiology section, and I mean, I agree, but the Pocket Prep it made up for what this lacked. And I also use Quizlet as well. And what was the other one? I think it started with like a Mometrics or something. If I can find it, I'll link it down in the description. But yeah, I used that one as well to help me out. Sorry, y'all, I'm all scattered all over the place, but I did want to go ahead and create this video because it's been overdue. So yeah, I used the Hesi assessment book, the Pocket Prep, Quizlet, and then I also did random Google searches for the Hesi A2. I do want to point out some of the material on the exam was super easy. Like, it's going to be like really easy questions that you don't even have to study for, but you don't get a lot of those, so don't bank on that. But there was some questions on there that I don't recall seeing in Pocket Prep or the study guide, but definitely like the vocabulary words, try to brief up, get very familiar with, because they will use a lot of the medical terminology that you need to kind of know. After those materials, questions, apps. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it with the material that I use. I didn't go in overboard, but yeah, I hope that this helped in some type of way. My main thing that I would want you to take away from this is trust in yourself. Believe that you can do it, because if you made it through the classes, the prereq classes, like, you can make it through this exam. And the good part is you can take it a few times. I know with my school, they did only allow you to take it, I think, 2 times within 1 school year. So you do want to be careful about that, and you do have to pay for it. So the more prepared that you are the first go round, the better. It saves you money, it saves you time, it saves you a lot of energy and stress. So yeah, study in advance, get some study material. If you feel like you need to partner up with a few people, me personally, I'm not a person that studied well with others, but if that is something that you need to do, form those study groups. Um, find out as much information, like I said, about the how many questions is on the exam, how much time you're allowed to have, what sections is covered on the exam, the cost of the exam, where it would be located, the times that they offer, and also find out the percentages that you need to pass, because I know each school have a different pass requirement for the scores. I believe for me, I don't remember my exam scores 100%. If I can't find it, I will link it. Insert a caption here or a video here. I did pretty well with my scores, so chemistry was my lowest. I can definitely say that chemistry and me don't get along at all. But I believe in you. You can do it. That's why I created this video, just to encourage somebody, because I know me, when I was on the other end, like prior to taking my exam, I remember just watching so many videos, like getting so stressed out, so overwhelmed, like getting so much anxiety, like, oh my God, I don't want to have to go through this. I almost was like, I was getting frustrated at the fact that they were putting so many requirements on nursing students to enter into a program. Like, just help it. Like, don't put so much pressure on us. But that was just the silly way of me trying to come to terms with, I got to take this exam and there's no easy way out. So preparation is key. Confidence is key. Know that you can do it. Don't second guess yourself. Like, relax. It's not the end of the world, really. Go in there, take your time, do what you need to do, focus, read the questions very thoroughly, making sure that you're fully understanding what it's asking of you. And yeah, good luck. Come back and let me know if you passed or anything, or if there's anything else. I will try to share more videos on my nursing experience to help you guys along the way. So if you would like, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the post notification bar, as I'm not sure exactly how often I'll be uploading videos, but every time that I come across material that I know that will benefit you and that I feel necessary to share with you, I definitely will. So thank you for taking time out of your day to go ahead and spend time with me and listen to me ramble on about information about the Hesi. Thank you very much. See you soon.